The following is a presentation of the NABL.
Welcome to tonight's game. This one's going to be good. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
We're underway here in Dallas, Texas. LaShawn Murphy right up.
Here he goes.
He rolls it in.
You know what game is? That's when you play.
He's going to take it all the way. Oh, my goodness gracious.
And it's going to be out of bounds. Oh, great save.
Oh, my goodness. We feel like we can go out and dominate.
Lands it home and closes it out with authority.
That's game. That's game.
Welcome. That is NABL basketball.
A philosopher once said, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Well, maybe. But when that destination involves holding up a championship trophy above one's head, yeah, it's about the destination. The NABL Championship Series is here. And welcome to this, the Championship Series edition of the BackCourt, here on the NABL Network, and I am your host, always on a journey to bring you the best of minor league basketball's biggest stage. Hey, you know me, I know you. I'm Ken Buckner, and all roads have led us all to here, this moment, the NABL Championship Series coming this weekend, the 29th and 30th, Saturday and Sunday in Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, oh yes, it's all about the ship. The Final Four has been set now. The 2017 champion of the North American Basketball League, well, they will be crowned. And we are here on the BackCourt to set you up for every bit of it and a whole lot more. But before we head to Atlanta, this week on the show, we're going to announce the 2017 NABL Individual Award winners. We're talking Coach of the Year, Community Award, and MVP. You'll also be traveling with us. Remember last week I promised you a field trip? Yes, kids. We're all going to go and load up the bus and head to the headquarters of the NABL. Plus, we'll sit down for the first time this season with the commissioner of the NABL about this season, the playoffs, the championship series, expansion for next year, and a whole lot more. And of course, yeah, we'll size up the championship series the whole weekend with interviews. We'll check in with all the teams. But first, how did we get here? Well, I just sat down. But no, how did we get here? The NABL Conference Finals recap. Quickly now, let's go. We have so much time and so little to see.
Wait a minute.
Wait.
Strike that. Reverse it. Thank you.
Beginning with the NABL East, where the two divisional finals took place, and in the NABL's Eastern North, the Huntsville Force, hosting the Southern Illinois Pharaohs. Now, these two who split the season series by a total of only 9 combined points between those two regular season games. Woo. Well, one of them was looking to find some sort of edge in this one, and to be the first NABL expansion team to punch their way into the championship series. How cool is that distinction? Well, early on in this game, the Force, honestly, were having their way. Up 48-35 at halftime. But in crept back the Pharaohs, who, as Pharaohs seemingly seem to do, came back from the dead. Ooh. The Force letting a sizable lead slip somewhat away. Huntsville, though, ends up closing the deal in the end with defense. More on that in a minute, because in a fashion that they have done so in their previous 9 straight victories in a row, Huntsville takes down Southern Illinois in the end to move on 91-83. Their 10th straight win and rolling straight into that NABL Championship Series. Here we go. Straight to the man behind the Force. Let's go to Huntsville and head coach Justin Billings. Well, this final was obviously the best defensive display of all the conference finals, and it wasn't always in the bag as the Pharaohs fought back in the second half on this one. Coach, your view on how this past game last Saturday went?
We had Jay Sears go down with a knee injury in practice, so we knew 20 points was going to be tough to make up. So we figured, hey, we might as well tighten up on defense. We tightened up on defense. Best defensive performance we've had all year. I mean, it's tough to hold those guys Southern Illinois has an excellent team.
Yeah.
To hold those guys in the 80s, hey, I tip my hat to my guys.
The status of Jay going into this weekend, if I may ask.
He's questionable.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Appreciate that information. I know how secretive it is, certainly around this time of year. Moving on, the Forza NABL Eastern Conference Northern Division champions. Now 10 straight victories. To say the Forza's on a roll is like a massive understatement, but that's from the outside looking in. Your opinion, putting in your words, the situation with your squad at this point heading into the series in Atlanta.
I feel like we're in a very good spot. We had a week off we actually had 2 weeks off to take care of our bodies.
Yeah.
Then we had another week heading into the championship series. So we've really concentrated on trying to get guys healthy, concentrated on conditioning, went back to the basics, just trying to get ready. We know it's going to be a tough and long weekend coming up.
So Huntsville moves on in the championship series, and who would they face? Well, that competitor would come out of this one, the Southern Divisional Final in the NABL's Eastern Conference, between the reigning NABL champion, the Atlanta Show, and the visiting Savannah Cavaliers. Yes, two old friends who know each other so well. Really neighbors, honestly, in the state, fighting to earn a spot in the championship series that will be held in their own backyard. And it was no secret that Savannah, going into this one, was going to have to take out Atlanta in a David versus Goliath type fashion if they were going to pull off the upset and move on. And evidently, the Cavaliers' slingshot broke before they could even try and use it. Yeah. From the tip to the final whistle, this one was all the show's show to show off in, as they will frequently do. Atlanta cruises to a decisive 41-point victory. Boom. 124-83 over Savannah. To the ATL we go, and to the head coach of the show, the Honorable David Kessler. The Eastern Southern Divisional Finals taking place this past Saturday. The Show's return to the playoffs, and oh boy, man, were y'all ready to play. It was 69-34 at halftime in favor of Atlanta, ultimately defeating Savannah 124-83. My goodness gracious, Coach. Tell us about your team's performance. It obviously was firing on all cylinders in this one.
Yeah, the guys were really ready. They were focused, and we knew as always that Savannah would come out and be tough, and we just wanted to try to take care of business early and leave no doubt. And fortunately, the guys were able to do that from the opening tip.
Yeah, to say the least. Now, it seems there's been a different feel surrounding the show this season, even with the one loss. And boy, when you can complain about one loss on your record, you know it's been another great year. But it's almost been a stronger Atlanta team in the second year of the franchise. Tell us, in your opinion, where the show stands right now as a team, your overall assessment.
Well, I think so. As good as we were last year, we added some new pieces, and the guys have that are returning have continued to work hard and get that much sharper. And again, from top to bottom on our roster, I think we are a little better this year.
Yeah, the depth has always been the strength. I mean, you've obviously been in coaching a long while and had a very successful career, but the bench and the depth of the show has really come into where those waves of attack just never stop.
Yeah, definitely. And our biggest situation is probably keeping everybody happy. And, fortunately, we've been able to do that. And I think that's a tribute to the guys, too, because they play for each other and they play for the team, and they're not as concerned as much about getting a certain amount of minutes as they are about, being on a winning in a championship ball club.
Well, speaking of the championship and the return to the championship series, we'll catch back up with you here in just a little while on the backcourt for a preview in the matchup rematch, rather, against the Huntsville Force. That coming up on the BackCourt. So the show grabbed the second spot in the NABL Final Four to continue their defense as the reigning NABL champs. They join Huntsville on that right side of the bracket. But who will prevail? Well, please hold all questions until the end of the program, okay? For we have so much time and so little to see. Right, exactly. In the way out West Coast Conference, the seemingly impervious Kitsap Admirals, well, they came off their very restful first round bye to face the upset machine that is the Quad City Flames. I mean, the Flames, who upended the favored Tacoma Thunder in round number 1, look to do the exact same with the same result and do it with a healthy roster. I mean, really, for the first time this season, the Flames have not enjoyed health throughout the regular season. So here they are. And the Admirals, here they are, undefeated in 2017, obviously wanting to keep that intact. So, could Quad City catch the Admirals sleeping, or are they just waking up a sleeping giant? I realize lots of giant references already in the show today.
Ho, ho, ho.
This one was a bit closer than anyone would have guessed. Certainly me.
Say that again!
Yeah. You know it if you watched last week. And with the NABL West Coast Conference title on the line, the Flames, man, they came to play. They gave Kitsap all that the Admirals could handle, but yet it was still not enough to sink the Admirals, as Kitsap holds on in this one to defeat Quad City 118-113. To the Great Northwest we go, and the skipper of the Admirals, head coach Ashley Robinson, on the BackCourt. Well, let's jump right in. Conference finals last week in the West Coast Conference. Congratulations on the West Coast Championship. Before we dig into the nuts and bolts of the game, what does this championship in the West Coast Conference mean to you?
Man, like I said, it really means a lot in the sense our first year in the league. We've been doing some great things the last couple of years, and now I feel like to be on a platform to get the recognition that I think my guys have definitely earned. It's great to finally be able to say that we're the conference champions, you know. So we're excited about it.
Well, the favorite going into the matchup in the finals with the Quad City Flames, which Quad City, who upset in the opening round there in the West Coast playoffs, they upset Tacoma. And Quad City, the Flames, have been bringing it on late in the season, a different team that we saw even squad-wise, because it looks like they had their full roster finally healthy and at their disposal, too. A 118-113, pretty much a thriller of a game, too. But the Admirals come out with a victory. Dive back into that matchup and that contest and what you saw there from the bench and the sidelines.
Yeah, it was definitely a great game, worth the money, you know what I mean, to come and watch. We did have a lead up to maybe 15 or so, and they fought their way back. It was about runs. We know about basketball, but they definitely had a game plan coming in. We were somewhat shorthanded on our roster due to injuries and things like that, but utmost respect for that program and the organization. They came to play, and they gave us a real test. It came down to the very end who was going to make the least mistakes, and we was able to pull it out.
Well, a big win for the Kitsap Admirals. At this point, before we get into the conference in the championship series, assess your Admiral squad at this point. I mean, where do you see your team right now? And you mentioned the injuries. How's the health status?
Well, I feel good because I think part of it too. I have a couple of guys won't be able to come down due to injuries, but I had some guys that just couldn't make it due to, say, something else, just couldn't get into town. But they will be with me in Atlanta, so I'm bringing I believe 8 to 9 guys, and roster from. My shortest guy is 6'2" to all the way 6'9". So I'm real confident with the roster that I will be bringing out there. So it will make a difference. Even if I would have had that roster for the playoff game or the finals out here, I don't think it would have been a close game as it was. But I like my chances with the 9 guys that I'll be bringing out.
All right, we're going to talk to Coach Robinson a little bit later on the show, and he's going to help us preview that big West Coast versus the Western Conference in the Championship Series Final Four. That's coming up later on the backcourt. So, with only one spot in the 4 left to fill the bracket, there's only one place left to go, and that is to the Wild Wild West. Sorry I did that. Here we go. Okay, maybe in the preseason, there were some outside of San Antonio or DFW that had these 2 teams competing for the Western Conference title in their predictions. I mean, if we're being honest, not to take anything away from the season, certainly that the Lions or the United both had, deserving and earning their shot at Atlanta in the championship series. But as both of these squads were knocking down their competition through the regular season one by one along the way, including each other each time, it just seemed destined that these 2 underdogs would clash. And clash they did. In the Lions' den of San Antonio, where San Antonio had been undefeated this entire year, the DFW United met up with the Lions to try and take that final spot in the Final Four. The United, who had been prone at times to slow starts throughout the year, well, not this time, jumped up early on San Antonio. But boy, those daggers started being thrown, and more importantly, the shots started falling for San Antonio. And what is it we always say here on the backcourt, kids?
Ken Buckner keeps you regular.
No. Who's teaching you these things?
Oh, come on, Ken.
I pray for our youth. No, we say here on the show that if San Antonio is getting their looks and they're knocking down their shots and hitting that high percentage, well, look out, because at that point, they're pretty much unstoppable. And such was the case as the tide turned very early in the first quarter, and the Lions held a sizable lead all the way up to 19 points into the fourth quarter when suddenly the United late in the game. This one was only separated by about 4 minutes left by a single possession, by a single bucket, only 2 points. But you know what? Just as the United would inch closer to the Lions would then stiff arm them and just totally keep DFW at bay consistently again and again until then a late run just caught fire and San Antonio pulls away to the win and the NABL Western Conference title. 142 to 128. Congrats to San Antonio and to the Alamo City of Texas. We go, and San Antonio head coach and owner, Mark Denkwalter. Well, how's it feel? San Antonio Lions, Western Conference NABL champions.
Man, it feels great. I mean, it took about a day for it to sink in, just all of everything that we've been through all season, ups and downs, and we've had some injuries and some other stuff happen, and especially falling short last season. It's great. It feels good to know that we're going to Atlanta.
Absolutely. And it was a tough game to get through too. I mean, the DFW United is one of those rubber band games where it was tied at the start. You stretched out a huge lead up to 19 points throughout most of the second and third quarter, and then there in the fourth, they got within a bucket. Again, I mean, your view from the sidelines and how that game went down in the 142-128 victory.
Oh man, I just saw that. I gotta give a lot of credit to DFW. I mean, it was a battle, nonstop battle. I mean, it was a good, competitive, hard, emotional game. I saw our guys got out ahead. Their guard play was really good. Their low post game was what really gave us trouble. But we were able to kind of go around that. Our shooters getting open is what really gave us that lead. Of course, Stu draws a lot of attention. And he got in a good rhythm going earlier, and then that right there kind of opened up all our outside shooting, and that kind of how we ended up getting the lead. And like you said, in the fourth quarter, I was like, man, when they got within 2 points, I was like, oh man, this Yeah, okay, so now they're coming. You know, I mean, it's a win or go home situation, and you know, fortunately, we were on the wins the win column. But man, overall, it was a great game. I give Kim and all her players, Jared and all those guys, the owners, man, those guys brought it. It was a hell of a game, and I couldn't have asked for a better game. That was a great competition right there.
Well, and boy, you talk about some amazing performances. I know you mentioned Eric Stewart, who always brings it, but Brian Evans on the Lions, 46 points in the win. And, you know, it just goes to show several times we've talked about the Lions throughout the entire season. You know, you may slow down Eric Stewart or some of the other guards on your team, you know, Vince or Nuncio or Brandon Nichols, but then a Brian Evans comes in and drops nearly 50 points. I mean, it just seems you have so many arrows in that arsenal that now with added defense this year too, with Michon Lewis down low and Cromwell, it's just, what are you going to do to stop these guys when it comes time for the championship series?
Exactly, and right now I think we have all the correct pieces we need to win the whole thing. And I agree, man. Brian Evans, or Pep, we call him Pep, man, he killed it that game, and that's why I nominated him, you know, a while back, you know, for Sixth Man of the Year, because we tried to change things up, you know, have him come off the start that game, and man, once he gets going, you can't stop. That man's ferocious. He'll attack the basket at will. As you saw that game, he's an amazing three-point shooter as well. He can score inside, outside, and on the defensive end, and that's the way we usually are. I mean, the Lions have always been, you know, the next man up, you know. So if one guy's getting shut down, then, hey, we're going to have the other guy step up. And as we saw, you know, it was a very, very important game for us. And Pep stepped up big time. Like you said, 46 points. Whew. That's hard to stop that.
So there you go. The Lions now meet up with the Admirals. And, oh, boy, yeah. And our Final Four is set in the NABL Championship Series. Yeah, that's what it looks like exactly. In the East, the Eastern's North champ, the Huntsville Force, will tangle with the South's representative, the reigning NABL champs, the Atlanta Show. In the West Coast versus the West, the Kitsap Admirals take on the San Antonio Lions. That's how it all is going to go down. The NABL Championship Series semifinals will take place on Saturday with the Lions and the Admirals kicking off as game number 1, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Central, 10 a.m. Pacific, mountains in between there somewhere, followed by the Show and the Force at 3 p.m. scheduled Eastern Time. Still plenty of time to grab your spot in Atlanta for the series. We're talking tickets, hotel info, and more, all at the top of this webpage right here where you're at, NABLbasketball.com. Just click on championship right over there. Of course, do it after the episode. I mean, don't be rude. We got a lot to cover. I mean, so much to do, so little time. Hey, I got it right. And you know what? You can see the games live from wherever you are this weekend on NABL TV, also here at NABLbasketball.com. The setting is Life University. That's the site of the championship series in Atlanta, Georgia. I'll be there. You should be there with the ship and the trophy on the line. There is no bigger weekend than this in minor league basketball's biggest stage. Woo, it's going to be huge. Oh, this is also big. We have some shiny hardware to hand out. Let's do it. Okay, before we get to previewing and picking the matchups of the 2017 NABL Championship Series, some big news came down this past week from the NABL's front office and NABL Award Committee. The highly anticipated NABL individual awards have been announced, and yeah, that includes MVP. You know, the question of who MVP in any sport is always hotly contested. Not only who it should be, but do they deserve it? What even does MVP mean? I mean, it means most valuable player. But, I mean, is it stats? Is it leadership? Is it The player that team cannot live without? Well, in a word, yes, to all of that. And to use some other words, MVP this year could have easily been spelled BPP. Yes, BPP. Yeah, you know me. Bernard Paul Parks, point guard for the Atlanta Show. Not only with 5 NABL Player of the Week honors in this 2017 season alone, but he was runner-up last year in the MVP race. And floor general of Atlanta, guiding his team to that 12-1 record with regular season totals of 36 points averaged per game. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the backcourt. The 2017 NABL's most valuable player, the Atlanta Show's Bernard Parks. All right, well, let's just jump to it. Bernard, you told me last time you were here on the backcourt that, last season in 2016, you felt that you should have been the MVP. You came in second in that voting, but hey, this year, it's a sealed deal. Congratulations on being the NABL's 2017 most valuable player. What does that mean to you? What was going through your mind when you heard it this week, the news come down?
I appreciate it, Ken. What was going through my mind? I mean, like I told you last week, I kind of felt that, I was already the MVP, just through everything I put on the floor this season, stat-wise, record-wise, and all that, just the hard work, but, I'm not stopping there. I still have 2 games and, in front of me to really get to where I want to be. So, but I'm going to take one at a time, which is the first one is on the 29th, handle business there. And we're on to the championship, handle business there, and repeat. So, being honored MVP is a pleasure to have. I'm blessed to get that award, but, that's not the biggest prize that I'm aiming for right now.
Well, you talk about getting business done. See, you're getting buzzes right there, people texting you. That's what happens when you're an MVP. 5 Player of the Week honors this season alone, plus a handful last year, too. Honestly, I think you could have garnered more of those throughout the week. NABL All-Diamond First Team. Yeah, now the championship series come up. As you look back so far up to this point, from a personal player perspective, kind of sum up this year so far.
This year, I mean, it's been a good year. It was better. It was more challenging. The competition rose, so it wasn't just like no cakewalk, kind of like last year where all our games were blowouts. We had some dog fights, some tough matchups this year. Everybody was out to get us, so we even had to push 10 times harder to stay on top, even though taking that one loss that, put us down for a minute, but we built off that. And, it helped us feel like, somebody's out there that can beat us, so we can't just walk in and think everybody's going to lay down. So I encourage my teammates, as I encourage myself, like, we got to go out there and lay it out like it's the last game.
It's one of the most disputed, regardless of the sport, regardless of the level and league, awards that is given. The MVP. People will debate to infinity on what it really means to be the most valuable player. Grouping in your teammates, because nobody gets there alone, what does MVP mean to you?
To me, MVP means, to me, the most valuable player, on and off the court. Setting the example to the highest level for your teammates to follow. I can't be in there lagging, not pushing them hard, lifting them up as a leader, but, coming in last in everything. And I'm considered the best player on my team. So me being the MVP is more than just, playing the sport or being the best in the league. It's also being the best around, my teammates and have been that guy that they look up to when it's time. So it's more than just, playing the game itself.
Man, it's going to be awesome to see. You're always awesome to watch on the court. You were last year in the championship series, and cannot wait for Saturday and Sunday coming up. And we'll be on your home turf there in Hotlanta, man. That's got to be pretty cool. You're going to have a lot of family and friends in the stands?
Hey, definitely, it's gonna be loaded, man. I'm ready for it. Everybody's excited. You know, it's a pleasure to have it in Atlanta, and we got to take care of home. It's in our city.
Show up and show out, and he always does. That is the MVP for 2017 in the North American Basketball League. Bernard Parks of the Atlanta Show. Man, congrats one more time on that. Now it's time to actually, here on the backcourt, jump to your head coach, and Coach Kessler's going to brag about you a little bit.
Thank you, Ken.
And you have the MVP, most valuable player of the NABL in 2017 on your roster, and how could you deny it? With 5-time player of the week, and he's just been lights out this year, Bernard Paul Parks. I know you love coaching this guy. You love having him on the floor as your general. Brag about your player, Parks, and boy, did he earn this MVP.
Yeah, he really did. Paul has been he's been fantastic for us for 2 years now, and I can rest easy knowing that he's on my side and he's my point guard, because I know that I'm gonna get everything he's got every time out, and he's a fantastic player. I mean, I can't say enough about him, and as good a player as he is, he's a better person. And that makes a huge difference. So we love Paul to death, and wish him continued success, and we're definitely glad that we have him.
So from MVP, we go to the NABL's Coach of the Year. And with the Huntsville Forces season, I'm going to take you back a little bit. Early in the regular season of this 2017, early in the Forces season, a change was made. Needed to happen. And a new direction was forged for the Force as Justin Billings took over the reins of Huntsville. Since joining the team, he has went 10-1, with his only one loss coming in that first game, a road trip to Capital City in Raleigh. With then followed by 10 straight wins after that, and continuing all the way in the divisional final into the championship series. Welcome back to the backcourt, our 2017 NABL Coach of the Year, Justin Billings. What does being Coach of the Year mean to you?
It's huge. I can't even really put it into words. Back in February, March, I was getting my AAU guys ready for the summer, and now Coach of the Year in the NABL, that's just a blessing, and I really appreciate it. But I told my guys, this Coach of the Year doesn't mean anything. We're coming for the championship.
Well, it's been a big turnaround, to say the least. I mean, you took over the reins in that first quarter of the season. We've talked on the backcourt here with you about the change in the roster that you made, the discipline you've employed. But, that doesn't always mean a team's going to respond to that or even listen. Why do you think the change of vision that you brought to the squad, why do you think it was so effective, and why ultimately the team bought in?
Well, we got some very good older guys that they take pride in leading. Guys like Terrence Ayers, Chase Sturdivant, guys like Dominique. Those guys, they take a lot of pride in what they do, and they know that they're trying to make a opportunity out of this. So they're really taking this serious with my vision, with my leading. Those guys have really bought in, and hey, we're in the championship series.
How cool is that, man? You can teach a jump shot, you can teach a pick and roll, but you cannot teach pride. And that's just something that, that's innately built into the best of them. Well, we can't wait to see it all unfold this Saturday. Congratulations, Coach of the Year, Justin Billings of the NABL in 2017, with more left to do, and can't wait to see the Force do it.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to see y'all in Atlanta.
Also, a new honor has made its way to the awards ceremony this season, and that is the NABL's Newcomer of the Year award. How cool is that? While some leagues celebrate a Rookie of the Year, well, that term would kind of be undercutting the talent of this honor and the player that's named to it. Our 2017 NABL Newcomer of the Year, the Kitsap Admirals superstar, is Lonnie Pearson. And for the man that knows Lonnie better than anyone else on the court, let's go back to our good friend of the Kitsap Admirals head coach, Ashley Robinson, because he wants to brag.
Yeah, I mean, from a coach's standpoint, to have a young player like that, which honestly I feel like he should be at the next level. Many people, I mean, we played against John Wall in the Zeke tournament, and he even asked, who is this guy? You know what I mean? So he's the type of player that definitely should be playing, if not, say, D-League overseas, and it's just a matter of time before that opportunity happens. But it's a joy to watch him play when he get, his mind made up and he attacks or whatever it is. If it's off the dribble jump shot, getting to the bucket, it's very hard to stop him. And so with his frame, he's 6'6", 6'7", can play, like I said, from 1 through 5. Wow. And because of his hunger to make it to the next level, which even creates a bigger problem for the opponent. So I'm excited to bring him to the NABL, down to Atlanta to the finals, because he really want to show everybody that, why he was in the race also to be the MVP. So he still got some more work that he want to show off, and really hope that he can land a job somewhere. So it's going to be fun to see him play against the best.
And our final award is the one of team and community. The NABL Loves the Community initiative has challenged each and every franchise to reach out beyond the court to impact the youth and the surrounding areas in a positive and constructive way. And we have seen some amazing works of the Kitsap Admirals, the Alamo City Aztecs, the Dallas Hoyas, and so many more throughout the year. Pardon me, guys, if I didn't name your city, because every franchise in the NABL has really went out and affected the culture that surrounds them in a very, very positive way, and has been a blessing to their community beyond the court. But there can only be one, and it's an honor, honestly, to announce that the Southern Illinois Pharaohs are the 2017 recipients of the NABL Community Award. We go now to Carbondale, Illinois, and check in with the head coach of the Pharaohs, Jeff Mallory. Well, Coach Mallory, the season, your franchise, your team, the Southern Illinois Pharaohs being named the 2017 NABL Community Award winners. Congrats to that. And really wanted to dive into that, this specific initiative, because, it does take effort to serve the community, to be bigger than the game of basketball. Talk us through the mentality of, I know, Justin Dentman, your owner, yourself too, and the real focus that you guys have put on the community.
Well, I think that was one of the big things and the big focus, that we had to get the community involved in much as anything that we do. We didn't care if we went and sold donuts or anything. We just tried to get everybody involved. One of the big things I think really helped us out is the fact that the word got out on the Pharaohs that we're going to be out in the community. We want everybody to be greeted well. We want you all to come in as a community and let us know what you feel about what we want. And I think that was huge for us, and how we be able to attack everything we did with community service.
You had several events throughout the season, and even preseason too. You had some basketball camps for the youth. Tell us about some of those that came up throughout the season.
Well, I think we did really several events. It was amazing. We went to one event at Lowe's department store. And we sat there and took autographs. The amazing thing was, when people were coming through the store and getting autographs and all, they were actually literally asking questions, not just about the Pharaohs or basketball, but they was just asking our input on how they felt the community would be more involved, in ways that and they were giving us, just different things we might can go forth with. And so going there and they even bring their pets up to us and so forth in there and said, well, we know we can't give you an autograph or anything, but at least shake their hands. So we were shaking a little poodle's hand or something. And it was just little stuff like that really caught the community. So, yeah, we were pleased with that. And so, we did that. Of course, basketball clinics, they spoke for themselves. You always had kids that felt like they were better than you no matter what. So that was pretty funny, too. So just came out in the community was just a huge blessing. It really was.
And it went beyond the Pharaohs' reach into the community, just beyond the events and the clinics as well, too. I mean, your actual court and gym and where it's located is part of a revitalization effort there in Carbondale.
Yes, it is. And I think Justin's he's gonna have something special there because that really is reflecting on how we did well as a team and involved in the community. So when they see the center that is getting started there, it's not going to just focus on basketball. It's going to focus on a lot of other activities, multi-purpose things, pretty much. And we're really excited. We're really excited.
Well, it's a beautiful thing. It's great to be blessed by blessing others, and certainly we've seen that through the Southern Illinois Pharaohs and their example there in Carbondale, Illinois, and as well as we'd mentioned too, Alamo City did some fantastic things throughout the year. The Dallas Hoyas, so many across the NABL, all the way up into the West Coast Conference too. Teams, following the lead and really affecting the community beyond the courts. So congratulations, head coach Jeff Mallory, not just on a great 2017 season, certainly going to be loaded for bear in 2018, and we'll get into that in our 2018 special that's coming up here, a little preview that's on the way on the backcourt in a couple of months. But congratulations on the season and to being named the NABL Community Award winners.
Thank you, Ken. And I just want to say, I think really, I've talked to you about 3 or 4 times now. I think you all in the NABL does such a great job of promoting as well, and just going to the kind of community part of it, that I think once you get the community involved and they see your initiative, is really a good blessing that everybody becomes a part of it. So I just want to thank you all for really making this thing happen. Really do.
So there you go. And only one trophy now left on our mantle to give out. And I know where it currently is. Okay, I promised everyone last week, all right, we were going to go on a field trip, all right, on the show. Yeah! I promised you, yes, I know. So to meet up with NABL Commissioner C. Travis Johnson and to get a brief tour of the whole facility, let's go. Everybody get on the bus. To the NABL headquarters we go. All right, here we are, the North American Basketball League, the NABL front office, the headquarters. So let's go on in, shall we? All right, everybody, find a buddy, hold hands throughout the whole thing. I don't want to lose anybody on this. Your mom and dad would be very angry. Okay, here we go. Incredibly heavy doors. But, like 7-foot-tall centers open these things. All right, now we're going way up top. Way up top. See, there's some other people that are not basketball people. And here we go. All right, let's go up, shall we? Okay, as we continue here, as you see this, the NABL front office right here, yes. These are the headquarters of the North American Basketball League. And as we now go into the offices of C. Travis Johnson, the myriad of offices that are all around here. Come on in, we're clear here. See, there's Sandy from the front desk. Everybody say hi, Sandy. That's, oh, okay. All right, and you see, we come on this way. We go all the way around. And the NABL offices, my office is somewhere around here. It's right next to the men's room, which is convenient, but not necessarily prestigious. Okay, here we go. Very nice. We go now into Okay, so that was actually the wrong door. That's a soccer league, and we didn't speak the same language. But so we come down here now, and here we go. Here we go. There he is, the man. Well, we are here inside the headquarters, the front office of the North American Basketball League. And I'm glad. See, aren't you glad you had your parents sign your permission slips to go on this field trip here on the backcourt? Of course, the BC taking you where nobody else gets to go, behind the scenes. This is where the decisions are made. And this is the guy that is at the helm. Much of your work is behind the scenes, but it's awesome. For the first time this year on the backcourt, we welcome the commissioner of the NABL. It's great to see you as always, Travis.
Great to see you also, Ken.
All right, let's just jump right to it. Obviously, the Atlanta Final Four, the big NABL Championship Series coming up just days from now. But before we get to that, let's take the opportunity to look back a little bit. Year number 2 of the NABL. It's been a banner season in a lot of ways. It's been a long season in a lot of ways too. So many different storylines. Who could have predicted where things ended up here when we were in the preseason? As commissioner in the front office, looking back from your perspective, what are some of the things that really jump out to you that you'll remember from this season and that you're most proud of?
Well, Ken, I'm most proud of all of the owners in the NABL because last year, as you know, we started off with around 8 teams. Mm-hmm. After the championship series last year, we had a strong group of owners to come, and we're now at 20 teams. And I'm so excited because the owners across the board has put in so much work, building up brands, giving players an opportunity. And so I've met so many awesome players across the league, from Atlanta to Huntsville to Raleigh to Nashville to Washington. So I'm just so excited of the owners, the dedication that they have, the dedication that I see the players have online via social media. They're always so excited and pumped up about the NABL and where the NABL is going. And so that gives a reassured front office that we're doing a good job, and we just try to continue to work hard each and every day. And so I'm just excited about the NABL from the players' perspective to the owners, and also, most importantly, the fans. The fans across the league have showed a lot of support on the social media, and we're just so excited, and hopefully we continue doing what we're doing. We will continue to grow our fan base across the nation.
Well, for year number 2 from the inaugural season, the NABL jumped and doubled its size, more than doubled its size. Let's talk about the 2017 expansion teams from this year. Boy, few times do you ever see in any league, in any sport, an expansion team contend. I mean, it's always that building block year, and sometimes they don't quite get it right, or sometimes you're like the Cleveland Browns and never get it right. But in the NABL this year, it is truly expanded not only into Minor League Basketball's biggest stage, from literally Florida up into Canada, but now you're also seeing, we have 2 expansion teams in the Final Four in the NABL Championship Series. Talk about this year 2 expansion and the teams that have come along.
Awesome. Okay, that all starts with the NABL front office. Our application process is rigorous. Yeah. And we try to make sure that we're getting strong owners who understand our vision and our mission and where we're going as an organization. And when you get those type of owners, such as a Southern Illinois with Justin Denman, and a Huntsville Force with Justin Billings, who's also Coach of the Year his first season. Yeah. You get a strong group of owners who bring so much passion and experience and dedication to the league. And that's why you see 2 teams in the NABL Championship Series, such as Kitsap Admirals. You have Ashley Robinson out there in Washington. He does amazing work in minor league basketball. You know, Ashley takes a group of guys and his team to China every single year. And with that experience, with his experience, his professionalism and discipline, he's able to bring that into the NABL. And again, that is why you see teams like Kitsap and teams like Huntsville Force in our championship. And next year, our third year, you may also see, a new expansion team, because we are going to continue to try to bring the best owners into this league that we can possibly find.
Well, you led me right into it. And boy, I get more well, it's not fan mail. Most of my mail that I get when the backcourt is criticism. And my pick's gone wrong. Sorry about the pick segment this year. Although we did have a winning record. But the other part is, when is the NABL coming to my backyard? All right, so 2018, Year 3 expansion. Now privately, okay, we'll pull back the curtain. I have been trying to get information on this for a while. I know it's an influx topic, certainly throughout the year and in the off season upcoming. But what can you tell us now about 2018?
Well, I can tell you this: we have our 2018 NABL owners meeting in Atlanta on July 28th, and so you will see a lot of new owners at that meeting. We try not to get into too much of 2018, but we will have teams in the Midwest such as Kentucky, more teams in Illinois, additional teams in Florida and Alabama, so teams in Washington, and we're also in the midst of working with, I guess, maybe potential owners that may be joining the league. So they're in a process right now of going through the application process, working with our committee, making sure that they pass the checks and balances. And so after we finish that process, we may have some more additions into the NABL. And so just stay tuned. You will definitely hear more about that, I'm sure. Once the season over with, on the backcourt, you'll be revealing more information to our amazing fans out there.
Awesome. All right. Well, at least we got some regions of the map to focus in on. Very nice. And us without you. All right, so we are here after a long preseason and the first off season, and then the regular season and an epic playoffs that just concluded last weekend. We are now here looking at Atlanta on the 28th and 29th. And the championship series is here. The four teams, Kitsap Admirals, Huntsville Force, Atlanta Show, and the San Antonio Lions. You know, a lot of surprises in that four alone.
True.
Your thoughts just overall on this weekend, some of the neat little things that'll be happening. I know you mentioned the owners meeting as well, too. But, you know, what you're excited about?
Well, this is the finale. This is what every team wants to make. When they first start their season, they get their schedule, their end goal is to make it to the NABL Championship Series. And we're here. Every year we allow 4 amazing teams to come to a designated city that we choose to have the Championship Series. And this year, again, it's in Atlanta. But I'm so excited to have all of the coaches in one place at one time. So we get to learn about basketball, more about how we can make things better, how we can be more efficient from a business standpoint, and then we get to fellowship with our annual coaches dinner, where all the coaches and owners will get together and partake in food and drinks and just have a good old time talking and finally just relaxing from the business of basketball and getting to know one another better. But I'm also very excited about 2 very, very, very highly anticipated games. And that's with the game number 1, San Antonio Lions versus Kitsap. And I have no idea who's going to win.
You know I was going to ask.
I don't.
I was going to try.
And number 2, we have Atlanta Show versus Huntsville Force. And that game is a really big one because we know that game was split in a regular season, where Atlanta won one game and Huntsville won the next game on each other's home court.
Yeah,
isn't that impressive? Atlanta went to Huntsville home court and beat them, and Huntsville went to Atlanta to their home court and beat them. So both teams are going to really go at it. And so I'm excited about the games. I'm excited about the trophies, presentation, awarding the MVP, Newcomer of the Year, Coach of the Year, Community Service Award. So I'm very excited because I get to honor those people and organization who has worked so diligent throughout the season. And we all deserve recognition. When we do something really, really, really good, we deserve recognition sometimes. The front office, we're so pleased to give these awards because these people are so deserving of these awards. But not only that, then the final game, the championship series, will be that Sunday. We don't know who it's going to be. And last but not least, the trophy presentation.
Yes.
The trophy presentation, where we award the NABL MVP of the championship series and overall champions. And so there's so much that's going to be going on next week in Atlanta, and I'm so excited along with the front office.
And I was excited when you told me we have a brand new trophy. Can I pick it up? Can I touch it?
Please.
Really? Okay, because security already tried to usher me out twice on the way here, as you saw. Ooh, it's a good weight to it. So here it is. Here is what every team in the NABL has been fighting for since the preseason began for 2017. The official championship trophy of the North American Basketball League, presented to the winner there in Atlanta. And again, of course, we're going to be previewing the exact matchups, and yes, I'm going to try my best at the picks and try to predict who's going to win the unpredictable Final Four that is the NABL Championship Series. Well, very cool. Very, very awesome. It's like you won a Formula One race in this thing. That's awesome. Well, there you go. The prize at the end for everything, and it's going to be one of 4 teams to own. Again, thank you for the time and the unprecedented access here. That is C. Travis Johnson, the commissioner of the North American Basketball League. And we'll see you in Atlanta.
We'll see you. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Was that not fun? All right. Back home here in the nurturing biosphere of the NABL studios, we continue here on the backcourt. We didn't lose anyone, did we? Did all accounted for? Okay. I am not responsible. Okay, now it is time to get you properly set up for the weekend of the year. Here we go with our NABL Championship Series preview. Tipping off our first series semifinal this Saturday, as we said, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 Central. It's the West versus the West Coast. San Antonio Lions face the Kitsap Admirals. San Antonio, 12-2 overall, brings in their sharpshooting offense, spearheaded by point guard Eric Stewart. Then you have Eric Nuncio, Brandon Nichols, Bryant Evans, who dropped 46 points in the conference final last week. Woo. But that's just to name a few that you will hear called out on Saturday, as the Lions bring now a balanced offense that when one player may go cold or is getting the double team, it's not just another that steps in their place. 2 or more come to pick up the slack and forge the attack. What I believe is when 2 or more San Antonio Lions come together, nearly 100 points or more are scored. I think that's right. I might be getting that wrong. They can easily drop 150 on you. That's the case here with San Antonio. And with the added bonus of a few key bigs down low now and in the paint with Michon, Missouri Lewis, and Ben Conwell. Well, there's at this point very few things that San Antonio cannot hit you with. And where the Lions have truly stepped up their game this season is the defense. I mean, if we're being honest, what was non-existent in their game and arsenal last year has turned into a surprise if they stay tenacious. San Antonio has went from underdog to top dog in the West for a reason and could bring it against an undefeated Admiral team in the semis. Back to San Antonio now to get his take again. Owner, head coach of the Lions, Mark Denkwalter. All right, we talked about what it means to be NABL Western Conference champions, but now that you're officially one of the Final Four in the championship series, you know, San Antonio's been just deadly. In fact, undefeated in San Antonio at home in the Lions' Den. Hasn't been too bad on the road, but, you know, how do you feel your team's going to travel, you know, going all the way halfway across the country to Atlanta?
I got a feeling that we're going to be just fine. Yeah. I think on the road we've had some close calls, you know, but in the end, I think that we're gonna prevail. I know we've lost 2 games on the road, tough games. One of them we were short-staffed. The other one we just, you know, couldn't pull it through. But I think now the team's in the right direction. We made a lot of moves with lineups and moving people around and, you know, placing certain players with each other on the floor that I think we've really found a mixture of what we need to win. And myself and everyone in the team has the utmost confidence because these teams haven't seen us before, and I think they're about to get a really big dose of what they're in for. Because, not to sound, you know, I don't try to make it sound any way, but they ain't never seen a team like us, and they're about to they're about to meet San Antonio head on, full force.
Well, let's talk about the unseen, because it's interesting you bring that up. I mean, the matchup, it couldn't be more different from the Atlanta-Huntsville series, because those guys, this is the third time they played each other this year. You've not seen Kitsap or the Admirals. They haven't seen you on the court, too. Going into the unknown in this tournament on your side of the bracket, how do you prepare for a team that, well, you've never played before?
Honestly, we do a couple things. Actually looking at game film, studying how they play. We've looked at their sets. We've looked at their players. We've already looked at who can score at will on their team, who their outside shooters are. We've already seen about how their defense works, how their help defense work, their rotation. So we've already been studying that. Also, too, another thing that really helps out is I look at the matchups. We've been looking at the matchups that they've been having in their conference over the year, and based on their record and ours and seeing the teams they played, that kind of gives us an edge, like, okay, well, I think we can go in here and we can take care of business because, like I said, we haven't played each other, but from what we've seen, we're going to have more of the edge on this one. Not saying it's going to be easy. It's going to be tough. I mean, it's playoffs. But I think overall, I think we're going to have the edge on that.
Well, now that you lead me, boy, and you're just leading me to the next question and the next question there, Mark. All right, against Kitsap and what you have seen, what specifically do the Lions need to do to I mean, we know if the buckets are raining and the shots are falling for the Lions, I mean, forget about it. It could be darn near a 200-point game for you guys. Yeah. But, as far as against the head-to-head Admirals, Lonnie Pearson and the like, what do you guys got to do to take the victory and get into the final?
Watch out their driving kicks. I noticed that they like to drive into the basket really aggressive. So we just got to really help on those passing lanes, really play the passing lanes. I think for us, too, as well, is that we just got to, on the offensive end, is watch out. They play the passing lanes well. Mm-hmm. So another thing we got to do is really watch our passings to eliminate turnovers, because what I've seen from them, they get a turnover, they're going in transition. So overall, on the defensive end for us, it's just really help defense needs to step up and just really force them to force some bad driving kicks. I think if we can keep that under control, we should be fine.
Well, it may be a battle of the two unknown teams to everybody else, but yes. One thing we do know, this is going to be a heck of a matchup on Saturday to kick things off. But yes, that Kitsap Admirals team is undefeated for a reason. It just doesn't happen, folks. A year-round squad that travels overseas frequently, and though maybe a first-year franchise in the NABL, those guys have been at it for a while before joining the league, and they boast one of the most balanced teams you could possibly construct. The architect, of course, is head coach Ashley Robinson, and the attack is spearheaded by NABL newcomer of the year, Lonnie Pearson. Oh, wait till you see this guy if you haven't seen him. Pearson with 3 Player of the Week honors to his credit this year alone, 32-point average per game. He brings length, height, and plays both sides of the floor, but it doesn't just stop there. With Jeff Perkins, Dejon Newton, Luke Henney, Mike Ward, Marcus Whitaker. Yes, they will even admit, being half a continent away from the rest of the NABL, the Admirals are a bit of an unknown commodity. And they kind of like it that way. Just how good are these guys type of team at this point? Well, finally, this Saturday, the veil is lifted in the championship series. The rest of the NABL will get that answer, just how good these guys are. And it may not be an answer that San Antonio is ready to receive, okay? Let's go back to the head coach of Kitsap, Ashley Robinson, to square up this matchup from the Admirals' point of view. All right, so quite simply put, I mean, you are here, they are there, and you're going to be in Atlanta all the way cross country. What does it mean for your Kitsap Admirals to be at this point in the championship series, Coach?
Well, I mean, like we said, when we first joined the league, that was part of our goal, was to make it to Atlanta. So to win our conference, to make it to Atlanta, to give ourselves a chance to be able to win a NABL title, period. So it's great for the first step. We achieved that. So now to get on the big stage and to dance with the best teams out here in the nation and our league, it's going to be, it's great to really see where we at, especially when I look at the bracket and you see San Antonio Lions. We know what San Antonio is, we know where Atlanta is and Huntsville, and then you have Kitsap Admirals. I know like, where is Kitsap is, from. So that's pretty funny just to look at that and to finally what we say from our small town is small town, bigger dreams. So it's a small town that had big dreams, and here we are playing on a big stage that nobody even heard of us or know about us, but now they have a chance to actually get to know that there is some basketball out here in the Northwest.
Oh, yeah. Hot and heavy, too. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's go right into it. Versus the San Antonio Lions, your first impressions of this Lions squad.
What I've seen so far, they're a great team. They play together. So that's the biggest thing. So that's what we're looking at. Is they don't, in videos, they're not going to be a bunch of one-on-ones. They're going to be disciplined. They're going to really come at us and look to move to the finals. So we're going to have to stick to the game plan. We can't go one-on-one. We got to play as a unit. Definitely got to play defense and understand that they're going to end up getting runs, and we can't break down mentally or get frustrated no matter what. I think this is going to be a great game.
Every week we've seen the San Antonio Lions, and I'm guilty of this too. I've always picked against them pretty much throughout the season. And boy, have they proved everybody wrong. And it is that ball distribution. And you'll see one player, Eric Stewart, for example, have 40 points in the game. And the next week he has maybe 15 and somebody else has 35. The ball distribution and their even attack, primarily around the perimeter, even though they've added some bigs for this 2017. How do you counter that San Antonio Lions attack that can pretty much bite you from anywhere on the floor?
Well, I think it's going to come down to matchups because I look at a lot of things. As far as our team, a lot of people don't know about our team. And so we're a mystery, and we're the same way. In the sense of we can drive, we can shoot, we have bigs, we can score from any position at any time, and the thing is defense is our main key. So that's going to be our focus is accepting the challenge that they can score, from any position to really see if we can play defense and see if we can hold them down. And so it sounds like we pretty much almost like match up pretty evenly on how we're going to both come to this game.
Yeah, I'm dreading these picks coming up later on the backcourt. I have no idea what I'm going to do. So the show is rolling, so I pretty much should figure this out soon. All right. And then the thing that you guys have to deal with, San Antonio has to fly about halfway across the country. You guys got to go against the entire continental United States. Tell us about how the travel may or may not affect the Admirals in the championship series.
Well, honestly, what I'm hoping is because of our background and the fact that we do travel overseas on a regular basis,
right?
China and things like that. Well, a lot of these guys that are going to be with us, they may see this trip more than one time to China. So we're used to flying 12 hours with a 12-hour different time frame, and then getting up the next day or so and playing a game.
Yeah.
So 3 hours. Not to say it's not big, it is big, but it's just I'm just really hoping with our just the fact that we have been traveling that it don't have such a big impact on us. So what we're going to try to do is actually take an overnight flight. So do a red eye, guys could sleep, get there early on Friday, and then they have that day to sort of rest, and then we begin to get ready on Saturday, and it's game time.
It's pretty fascinating. These two teams have never played each other before, so it's anyone's guess. And game number 1 of the championship series, just who will go through. Remember, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 Central, or over there Kitsap time in Bremerton, Washington, 10 a.m. Pacific. This Saturday, it goes down at NABLbasketball.com, live from Atlanta. In the second game of the NABL's championship series, the 3 p.m. Eastern scheduled tip-off time is scheduled between that Huntsville Force and the reigning NABL champions Atlanta Show. And opposed to San Antonio and Kitsap, who have never seen each other, as we've said, on the court, these two have quickly formed one of the newest and hottest rivalries in the entire NABL. The Force in the Show, they've played twice before during this regular season, going 1-1. And as we've noted, that interesting note that the road team won in both cases. On April 8th, the show actually opened their season with the 138-118 win in Huntsville. But on May 27th, the Force returned the favor. And what the upset of the year, okay? 113-111 winners on the show's home turf. That was the first ever loss, as we've said, for Atlanta in their franchise history. But that loss served as a late season wake-up call and has since fired up Atlanta to blow up the competition since. I mean, just on a tear and into the postseason. Most recently, just dismantling Savannah by 41 points in the divisional final. And with 2017 MVP Bernard Parks leading the attack with C.J. Turman, DeMario Black, Norm Stewart, and, well, I mean, I could be here the rest of the show just naming those that contribute consistently in Atlanta. An entire roster of all-star caliber players. Coach David Kessler looking for a repeat. Don't blame him, but not looking past round number 1. Coach, the goal, obviously, in 2017 was to repeat as NABL champions. The only team in the Final Four who has been there before in this situation in the NABL Championship Series. That's an interesting advantage. How big of an advantage is that?
Well, I think it will be, a little bit of advantage, as far as the experience of being there and that sort of thing. But I also know these other teams, have been in championship series type play before, in various other leagues or in Kitsap's case, even outside the country. So, I don't think that'll play a big factor, really.
The task at hand, and you talk about knowing a team, well, that would be the Huntsville Force. Split the season series with them this year, and it's really interesting. The road team won in both of those situations, so that's a little added intrigue. Now, the third time playing a familiar opponent in this situation, your scouting assessment of the Force going into this matchup Saturday?
Well, we know that obviously they're a very good team. We're down to the best of the best here in this last 4. So, they're going to bring it, and that is interesting that the road team won in the 2 previous games, which probably gives Huntsville a little bit more confidence knowing that they're coming back to Atlanta. But we feel good. We know that we just have to, again, continue to play our game, and we've got to make free throws. Big thing, But, it's going to be a heck of a ball game and a heck of a championship series.
When you are going into a mini tournament of sorts, as this Final Four is, where obviously the 2 games on Saturday and then the finals on Sunday, do you look ahead at any of the other teams, the other 2, San Antonio and Kitsap, at all to scout? How do you handle that as a coach without overlooking, obviously, the first big game?
Right. Well, I know as coaches we do a little bit, and I'm sure the players, have San Antonio and Kitsap both on their minds as well. But we also stress the fact that, if we don't get by Saturday, we don't have to worry about those other 2, So, the main focus is on this upcoming game against Huntsville, and then as soon as that game's over, we'll put our brains to work against whether it be San Antonio or Kitsap.
Over on the Huntsville side, well, few can claim to have the advantage over Atlanta. In fact, only the Force can claim that. They were the one and only to prove that the show were in fact mortal, right? So, plus they've reeled off those 10 straight victories in a row, and with their revamped roster that was rebuilt in the first quarter of that season before the trade deadline, well, with Jay Sears, Chase Sturdivant, Dallas Jones and company, while we knew Huntsville had potential in the preseason, okay, who knew, quite honestly, that they would be the hottest team in the league since the halfway point? Well, one guy that thought they might, let's go back to head coach Justin Billings back on the backcourt to size up this championship series against Atlanta. All right, task at hand, Coach. Boy, you talk about highly anticipated, the rematch to decide who will head into the NABL Finals on your side of the bracket. The Force takes on the Atlanta Show. You won on their court, they won on yours. The only time Atlanta has ever tasted defeat, we've said it over and over again, was at your hands. What must happen in this meeting on Saturday to overtake the reigning NABL champions?
We got to come in. We got to play with confidence. We got to move the ball, and we just got to play force basketball. Without a doubt, Atlanta's a great team. We got to expect they're gonna make some. They're gonna go on some runs. They're gonna make some tough shots. We just got to stick with it, keep playing defense, and try to make everything tough for them.
So, San Antonio versus Kitsap. 1 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, game number 1. Game 2 of the championship series semis between Huntsville and Atlanta immediately following at 3 p.m. Eastern. All times Eastern. Okay, we got that. All games can be seen live, NABLbasketball.com on NABL TV. And of course, with Sunday, the NABL Championship Final. 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Mountain, Hawaii time. That's on you, Hawaii. You got to figure that out. I just don't have the capacity. So we visited the NABL headquarters. We've talked to the commish. We've set up the championship series. Look how far we've come. Well, now it's time to try to predict all this. In our final KB's Picks segment of the year. I know. Yeah. First, we're going to try to do the impossible. I mean, when you get to the NABL Championship Series, you learn anything can happen, okay? Favorites can fall, underdogs can rise. So taking these picks to the bank may be like cashing a bounced check. I'm just warning you. Plus, we're going to not only predict the first round semis, but based off of those predictions, I'm going to try to predict the possible finals matchup, an eventual NABL champion. So we're making a prediction off of another prediction that was based off of 2 previous predictions, which is bordering on venturing into an alternate universe that could break the space-time continuum. I don't know, but here's what I'm guessing, okay? Game number 1, 1 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, San Antonio and Kitsap. Here's the breakdown. The Lions have, as we've said, we've heard and stated, ruthless this season from most anywhere on the floor. No longer a team that relies exclusively on the three-pointer and jump shot and has added a nice team defense to their scouting report. Point guard Eric Stewart can run away with the game. He'll lead the charge, but a host of other Lions will pick up the slack if need be if Kitsap turns their full attention to number 22 Stewart's. For the Admirals, who have not tasted defeat in the NABL at all, so goes forward an NABL Newcomer of the Year, Lonnie Pearson. So go the Admirals. But they're not a one-trick pony at all, with Ashley Robinson calling the plays and setting the rotation. Depth and the 3-time zone difference, that could factor in a bit. But this team, the Admirals, they're used to jumping time zones. A lot of them. They're an international traveling team. They go to other continents, for crying out loud, and go and win championships. So, you know what? I'm going to take that out of the equation in this one. I don't think it's a factor. The key is a comeback win cannot be the plan for the Admirals, okay? Because if the Lions jump out early and by a lot, it could be church by halftime, okay? This thing could be over. Away from home, the Admirals are just as dangerous. Well, San Antonio has struggled for various reasons at times away from the Lions' den. So, all that being said, I know, I'm just being real with you. I've picked against the Lions pretty much every time, it seems, during the year. Believe me, they let me know that when I was in San Antonio a week ago. I picked against them in the conference final. I was wrong. A lot. I know that. And while it may be an advantage to the Admirals that Kitsap is way out on the West Coast and a somewhat unknown commodity, it's a disadvantage for those trying to pick this game, okay? The Admirals have the upper hand, in my opinion, on the coaching front. Plus, the Lions can be a tad undisciplined at times, which actually is part of their charm, to be honest with you. Sometimes it works for them, gets under the skin. But I don't see that happening against the Admirals. They are unflappable. It's two groups of players who have played together a lot over the years, these two teams, okay? But I think the one wild card is Lonnie Pearson. Nearly unstoppable when he wants to be. And San Antonio has had a hard time, in fact, in the Western Conference Final, defending a big down low, especially one as athletic as Pearson. So again, I'm doing the same thing that got me jeered in San Antonio last weekend when I picked against him. Yes, I have not learned from my mistakes, but I have reasons behind this. In the first semifinal between San Antonio and Kitsap, give me the Admirals over the Lions. Though San Antonio is one of my favorite cities on the planet, if that helps. Okay, and that is fair. Game 2, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, the rematch, Part 3, between the Atlanta Show and the Huntsville Force. Now, this one, we do have history to go on, and boy, is it interesting, too. And we have learned from our history because we are wise. Each has beaten the other throughout the year. Huntsville's on a 10-game winning streak. Atlanta's, well, they're Atlanta, okay? You have this year's NABL Coach of the Year, Justin Billings, versus last season's Coach of the Year, David Kessler. As stated, too, by Coach Kessler in that 113-111 loss to the Force in May, the show just went cold from the free throw line. Don't expect that to happen again, okay? Huntsville, as you've all heard, dealing with an injured Jay Sears, who has been critical for them this season in their success. Now, what we don't know is the full extent of this injury. I don't know if he's going to be at 100%. Jay probably doesn't even know at this point. Don't know what the ambiguous label of questionable even really means in sports on that injury sheet. But the Force is going to need Jay Sears' services to get it done against the show. That's just the fact. Stranger things have happened, all right? Atlanta's Bernard Parks may get the glory on the other side, and rightly so. I mean, he's the NABL MVP. But he's got a squad and a bench behind him that has little to no weakness. I think because of the fact Atlanta's been here before. They're in their hometown. The championship series is starting to become their pattern, their element. And the possible status of Huntsville's marquee player and the fact the show rarely make the same mistake twice, the free throw thing, I am now taking Atlanta to win. But not in a blowout. But Atlanta takes down Huntsville to move on. So, there you go. According to the my brain hurts at this point. I don't know. According to the pinnacle of prognostication, all right, the Admirals and the show are set then for the NABL finals. Yeah, I think. Well, taking that scenario, though, as for our purposes, what it is, a prediction in KB's picks, well, then just who wins the whole thing? Short and sweet. If it were to be Kitsap and Atlanta for the trophy on Sunday, I would take the Atlanta show again to repeat as NABL champions. Yes, make it a double dip for them. Trip back to the cutting of the nets, climbing the ladder, hoisting the trophy for David Kessler, and the Atlanta show again in another round of rings and bling for the show. Now, the beauty of it all, it could just as quickly and easily be San Antonio versus Huntsville. It's just blind guessing, to be honest with you at this point. Yeah, kind of like that. But for a team that's been there before, I really think, I mean, with the NABL MVP leading the charge and an even better squad that they had when they won it all a year ago, it's Atlanta's to lose, no matter who they face. And as a wise man once said, to be the best, you gotta beat the best. Yeah, I'm calling Ric Flair wise. Woo! And as the reigning NABL champs, the Atlanta show is still the champion until somebody takes it from them. Which, hey, good thing is by this time next week, we'll know. So do not miss next week's edition of the BackCourt, where we will recap all the action from this weekend. And don't miss the NABL Championship Series, okay? Either being in Atlanta on Saturday and Sunday, the 29th and 30th. Tickets still available right over there. Or watch it all here on NABL TV at nablbasketball.com. So, how about that, huh? We covered a lot of ground. To all of our championship edition guests this week. My deepest appreciation to every one of them. To the commish, C. Travis Johnson, and my also thanks to the security there at the NABL headquarters who thank you specifically for releasing me from the contained area. And as always, thanks to you, honestly, who make this league what it is. And with your love of the game and your tolerance for this show and myself, thank you so much. We're not done yet. After the championship series, we're back next week for our championship recap. And we're going to take you all across the court, interviews from the NABL Championship Final MVP, whoever that is, the winning team, the winning coach, the winning owner, the winning players, and a lot of behind-the-scenes action, too, on the backcourt. We'll be live in Atlanta, okay, and we'll bring it all to you on the backcourt. The NABL Championship Series, guys, it's here. A champion will be crowned on minor league basketball's biggest stage, the North American Basketball League. For all of those here on the show, I'm Ken Buckner, you are you, and this is the BackCourt on the NABL Network.